What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'll break down what Tesla's looking so far from a technical standpoint and some very important technical developments on all these different tickers. But before I break things down about all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. Anyways, let's break down what's going on with Tesla in the market. We had a very, very interesting breakout on Tesla and also on SPY. We started off very, very weak. If you guys were looking at the chart, we saw Tesla sell off pretty aggressively. And we came all the way down to 247, and that's almost exactly where Tesla ended up bouncing at. And that's one of the levels I called out. I told you if we broke 247, we could see this thing sink even lower towards 244. But the buyer stepped in right there, which happens to be very close to the pre-market low from yesterday. And then we saw the buyers just continuing to launch the market in the opposite direction, which threw a lot of investors off. So it was very tricky price action today. We saw some very, very nice looking liquidity grabs that continued, and this actually helped Tesla and all these different tickers pump a bit. So I want to break down some levels on Tesla and also on SPY and then talk about some important levels to look out for the future. So moving forward, when it comes to Tesla, I just want to mention that we're actually testing this 256.5 resistance. The next level above that is going to be 257.5. If we break that, I would not rule out Tesla getting very close to 260, which would be this imbalance all the way up here. That's going to like push Tesla to much higher levels. So you want to see Tesla get above 257.5 to 258. If we break that, 260 is going to be the next level, and Tesla does have potential to do so. Now, for support, you're going to be watching this previous resistance, which is now going to become support. We have some critical support at 255. So this level right here, right, this was previous resistance. And then if we break below 255, we have this channel, which is going to act as the next critical support at 252.5. So Tesla had this channel it was stuck in for the last like 4+ days, just like this. And then if we test this white trend line again, instead of being resistance, it's going to become support. So that's why I wanted to call out that level at 252.5. And below that, we have the notorious 250. So we're going to be watching these levels very, very carefully. Right now, from a technical standpoint, Tesla got some good volume in the morning and is trying to push up higher. And we had some bad news involving the recall and all those things coming out, which caused Tesla to drop initially. We were correct. Tesla did drop more, but then we saw buyers step in later on during the day to pump it right back up. This drop was just another like really good liquidity grab. This is where they basically caught all this liquidity from the sellers down here before the buyers stepped up. And this is where Wall Street started to buy and push this thing right back up. Tesla also has a tendency of pumping before earnings, and this time it isn't pumping like that hard. It's been kind of flat for the last few days, but it's trying to push up higher. So it looks bullish. There is potential for Tesla to push up higher, especially if you look at our 4-hour time frame looks bullish on Tesla. It's also like right here on Tesla looks bullish. Last time I checked it, the 4-hour looks bullish. It looks like it's primed to try to get closer to 260. The 30 minutes time frame is also looking more bullish as Tesla's trying to hold above its 200 EMA. So Tesla's looking stronger for the time being. Now I just wanted to briefly talk about SPY and a couple of other tickers. If you want to look at SPY, very crazy price action. So we sold off pretty aggressively when we started off. SPY came all the way down to these critical levels, and in doing so, this led to more volatility. So we came down from this pennant. We got this big break to the downside towards this demand zone. But you will notice on the 1-hour time frame, we've been just going back and forth for the last like couple of days. And it's been very stationary. And now SPY has a potential inverse head and shoulders forming, which that could lead to another pump towards this higher level. But here's some levels to watch for first. So we got this drop in the morning. We came to this demand zone, and I told you if we had broken 433, yes, things could get ugly. But for things to really get ugly, I want to see it break below 432 to fill this gap down to 430. They wanted people to think the gap was going to fill down here, which is why people started shorting very hard. But I told you don't necessarily turn too bearish after 433 because we have to break 432 to fill this gap down here, right? We were talking about that level. We actually held 432.5 and we got a bounce from there. And now SPY is just trying to uptrend. So right now we're testing 437.5 as resistance. If we break that, you're going to be watching 438.5 as the next level because This inverse head and shoulders full measured move could take us all the way up to the 438s, and it's looking a bit more bullish from a technical standpoint so far. Now, if we do reject and come back down, you're going to be watching 437 as support, which is where we have this resistance right here. Previous resistance becomes support at 437. If we do break down, and then below that we have 436.5. If that fails us, it'll come all the way down towards 435. And then, below that we have 434. But as of right now, SPY is holding up quite decently. It's trying to break 437.5, which is where we have some tight resistance. And we're going to be watching these two critical zones. So when I zoom in a little bit more, you guys can see I have this horizontal blue line here and also the yellow line. This is 437.5 and then 438.5. Watch that zone very carefully where we have some tight resistance, but just know we are looking a bit more bullish thanks to the inverse head and shoulders. The market could flip on a dime. It's very insane. And this drop did form a very, very clean looking structure that does favor the bulls a bit more. Now, on the QQQ, something very similar is essentially developing. I'm going to call that out because when we look at how this is looking, it's also trying to push up very, very nicely. It's holding above its support very, very well. So we're going to be watching how it could continue to push. We have a nice double bottom like formation on the QQQ, and we called out, if it broke 366, it could come all the way down to this support right here, very close to 364. And that's very close to where it bounced, a little bit lower than that because they were triggering some stops. They dropped to just a tiny bit lower than this low right here, just to trigger stops before grabbing liquidity and pushing us right back up. So on the QQQ, watch 368.74 as critical support. If we lose that, watch 368. And then below that, we have 366. As of right now, it's looking very bullish. It's not really close to 368 right now. It's still well above that. It looks like it's heading towards 370. Watch 370 to 370.5 as resistance, this zone right here. If we break 370.5, there is potential for it to push all the way up to get closer to about 372. We do have some resistance at this wick at 371 first. I mean, if we get above that, then 372 is coming. We have a very, very nice imbalance right there after we form this like double bottom. So it is very possible for the QQQ to just continue pushing for 371 and break down and get to 372. But first, we have to break this 370 to 370.5 resistance. And it looks like we're going to test this very soon as we're continuing to uptrend. For support, watch 368.75, not to mention 366. Watch those levels very carefully and just know that as of right now, the chart is looking more bullish and it does favor the bulls more for a push for 370 plus. For Nvidia stock, this was pretty wild. This came down very hard, even below some of the targets I was talking about. It came all the way down towards the much lower levels into the 430s. So Nvidia had a very, very big drop. It actually touched 425 today. Pretty crazy stuff during the pre-market. Then Nvidia tested 430. You got a really nice bounce from there. And now Nvidia is testing this resistance right here. So basically, Nvidia has support. Let's first talk about support at 446. It's just minor support. We have stronger support at 444 because of historical, support and historical trends and etc. So watch 444 as critical support, 442.5, and then 440 below that, followed by 437, which is where we have this channel. We got a big break to the downside on Nvidia before getting a nice bounce. So it's very interesting to witness. And we could redraw this. I'm going to redraw this trend line later on. And now Nvidia is trying to push up higher. We're going to be watching this resistance right here. So right here, we have this 447.5 to 449 zone that's acting as resistance for Nvidia. That's this previous support becoming resistance. So watch that 447.5 zone very carefully. That's what's stopping Nvidia for now. But if we break that, if we get above 447.5 and we start holding 448, I could see this thing pushing for 451 and potentially even this resistance up here at 455. So we're going to be watching these levels very carefully. As of right now, Nvidia is favoring the bulls a bit more, and it is looking a little stronger than how it opened up, but we're going to be watching resistance just to be safe. And last but not least, we have Aapl stock, which is looking very interesting. We had an ascending wedge-like pattern, but it looks like it's trying to invalidate it as it's trying to break out, and it's looking stronger now. So we're going to be watching these levels. Right now, it's trying to hold above 178. We have some resistance at 178.4. If we manage to break above that, the next level is going to be around 178.75. and then we could push up for almost 179. For support, watch 178, then 177.5. So some very, very tight levels on Aapl. And then below that, we have 177. If that fails, let's watch 176.5. And to turn bearish, you want to see it break and hold 176.5. Today we had a big drop on Aapl, but it got bought right back up above 176.5 as time went on. I know it takes time. You can't just like turn way too bullish, way too bearish immediately. You have to wait for the charts to play out. And Aapl is looking like it wants to hold above 178 for the time being. So in my opinion, it looks like it's going to try to continue to hold for now. We will see if this thing can try to break up towards 178.5 and potentially even 179. But first, we're going to be watching this resistance and see how it can try to hold 178. So watch it in this area. It does have a tendency of chopping a lot here because we have this resistance. It may just trade kind of sideways in the very low 178s. But for now, see if this thing can try to get above 178.5. If it achieves that, that's going to be a bullish signal. If it fails to do so, it could just chop around for an extended period of time. So long as it doesn't break below 177.5, I think Apple's going to be fine for the bulls. So just watch these levels and we will see how it moves as time goes on. All right, guys. Anyways, I hope this video was helpful. I gave you guys some important support and resistance levels, and I just want the best for everyone. The market can be very, very tricky sometimes. Crazy moves can be made, but it's nothing to be afraid of, nothing to let get the best of you. Just look at this as another day. Make sure to manage risks accordingly. That's not financial advice. And do what you have to do, guys. I'll see you guys in the next one for the final video of the day. Have a great day. Thank you all so much again, and peace out.